Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all our viewers. This is our educational channel Learning Biology Online, and I am Dr. Asad, and with my expertise in the subject of biology I will be discussing a very important topic known as the variety of life. So in this lecture we will cover why nomenclature is an important thing to be understood and applied when we are studying different species of the organism, and how in different eras these two different classification or kingdom system were introduced to classify the organism on the basis of their similarities and differences. By the end of this lecture, we hope that you will be understand what is nomenclature and what is its importance when it comes to classifying the organism and naming them scientific names on the basis of their different characteristics. Finally, we will also discuss the two systems that were introduced to broadly classify the organisms, and we will study the limitation and importance of both these systems. Biology, when we come around this term, the nomenclature, we mean assigning name to the organisms. So how we can define nomenclature? It is a system that has been introduced to assign specific names to a particular living things. So before going into the concept of how we assign names in this binomial nomenclature, we need to understand when this was introduced. So it was first discovered by a Swedish scientist in 1751. Scientist's name was Carolus Linnaeus, and then he presented this model of nomenclature known as the binomial nomenclature in his book known as Species Plantrum in 1753. So the name, according to him, the name of an organism, it comprises of two words. The first name is the genus name and the second one is the name of the species. तो इस तरह से दो ये जो सब क्लासिफिकेशन होती हैं, इनको combine करके we assigned two names to a particular organism that have been discovered. So we have a list of organisms over here that may belong to the animal or the plant kingdom respectively, and you can see how we have assigned them names on the basis of their genus and species. So we have onion over here that has a genus of Allium and the species the Cepa. So the scientific name assigned is Allium cepa, and then you can see Amalthus, Acacia fistula, frog is Rana tigrina, मैन और ह्यूमन बींग्स दे हैव बीन असाइंड होमो सेपियंस. तो इसके जो ह्यूमंस के केस में हमने ऑब्वियसली जब एनिमल किंगडम की एग्जांपल स्टडी की थी उस हायरार्किकल क्लासिफिकेशन में इन आवर प्रीवियस लेक्चर, तो उसमें हमने यही देखा था कि होमो वाज द जीनस एंड सेपियन इज द स्पीशीज. So that is how you assign the scientific name, by combining the genus and the species of that particular kingdom. So first of all, the organisms were broadly placed in two kingdoms. So this system was known as the two kingdom system, in which Carolus Linnaeus placed the organism into two groups. He proposed this model of two kingdom system in 1758 and classified animals and plants on the basis of mode of nutrition that they obtain from their surrounding environment. Mode of nutrition की अगर हम बात करें तो there are autotrophs and heterotrophs. Obviously autotroph were the plants who can prepare their own food from simple organic material and they can reserve their energy, whereas the heterotrophs, the animals who cannot make their own food and they move from one place to another and rely on decayed matter or on autotrophs for their food. So this is how the two kingdom system was introduced, with on the basis of specific characteristic feature, that is mode of nutrition. So the drawbacks that were highlighted in this model were that many unicellular organisms such as Euglena that has differences with animal as well as plant cell or plant kingdom, they were not highlighted, or the scientists, they were not able to classify Euglena into either animal or plant kingdom because they had their own unique features. After the two kingdom system, there was always a need of another classification system on the basis of which different broadly discovered species they can be placed into different kingdoms on the basis of their similarities. So in order to cover this, a five kingdom system was proposed by Robert Whittaker in 1969 that was later on uh, modified in 1988 by the two scientists. So this is how the five kingdom classification system was introduced, in which the five kingdoms that were introduced are the Prokaryote, also known as the kingdom Monera, then we have Protista, Plantae, Fungi and Animalia. So over here you can see the Monera, that includes those unicellular organisms that don't have well organized organelles present in them. That is why they are known as the prokaryotes, whereas you can see the Protista, that includes eukaryotic unicellular organisms that have membrane bounded organelles present within them. And the difference we have already covered between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. Then you have the Plantae, that are autotrophs with that have the ability to obtain their own food through their sources. That includes the presence of a pigment, the chlorophyll, sunlight and water, through which they are able to make their own food and store them. So they are also multicellular eukaryotes as compared to the protists. Then we come to the fungi, that are also known as the recyclers or decomposers, that are multicellular eukaryote, but they always obtain their food from the dead organic matter. Then we have Animalia, that are a group of consumers that obtain food by moving from one place to another from plant or other sources as well, and they are also multicellular eukaryotes. Although this five kingdom classification, it has been able to broadly classify the organisms into different groups and subgroups on the basis of their similarities and differences, but still, according to some scientists, there are some drawbacks within this classification as well. As you can see over here in the first point, that the algae that are either unicellular or multicellular, they haven't been placed in the same group. So आगे चल के जब हम different kingdoms को specifically detail में पढ़ेंगे, तो वहाँ पे हमें पता चलेगा कि जो unicellular algae हैं, that have been placed with the Protista kingdom, and the multicellular algae, they have been placed in the kingdom Plantae. So there must be some obviously characteristics of these two different unicellular and multicellular algae that must be similar to protists and Plantae, but obviously because they probably belong from the same evolutionary history, so they should have been placed in the same kingdom. So this is one of the drawbacks that exists in case of the five kingdom classification system. But definitely when we study both the protist and Plantae kingdom in detail, we will come across these two different types of algae, and there we will also find out that what was the reason on the basis of which these algae, unicellular and multicellular, they have been placed in different groups rather than being placed in a separate kingdom. So do like our video if you have been able to understand the concept of the two different types of kingdoms of classification that have been introduced to classify the organism, and also the nomenclature. And do share our video with your other students as well, and in the comment section do ask questions if you have relevant to the topics that we have covered in this video. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button so that you can receive the new video lecture notifications on regular basis. Thank you very much.